Numbers moving. That's real important.
Yeah, I have done.
All right, I'm here with Sue Dunn. Her and Dwight, many of you know him, have been in the horse business for many, many years. And started when she was just a little tiny girl, a little young girl. I'm not sure if Dwight was how young he was, but you were young, I know.
I was young.
He was young. Sue and Dwight are friends of Janice and I. We love them. Okay, they've come to our house, stayed there with us. They are people that we love. Sue is just, you know, we've loved her from the time we met her. She has got our heart. One reason because she's done so good with our horse, and somehow that you did. There's a way to people's hearts.
That's true.
Right there.
You have to earn it. You have to earn it.
There really is.
Yeah.
And Mr. Evolution showed today.
I missed him, but I seen that he won.
He
I
won.
They walked him by the barn to coo him out, and I acknowledged.
They love him, and I talked to him some about him. I'm gonna send some baby pictures.
Don't you love it when a good horse finds a good home?
Oh man, what you know he's had
a heart.
I think about too. I think even with Amy and Bob when they had him,
he's never had a hard day in his
and
life.
They spent a lot of money.
Yes.
You know, take him, had to take care of, saved his life, and you know, done better than I would have. You know, I mean, I couldn't have done what they done. They surely did. Anyway, it's not about him; it's about Sue. Okay, Sue, as we shared, we've known her for a long time. Her and Dwight, and been real good to us. We're at the horse show. Okay, so they've just been really good to us. Sue, how many years what do you think in the horse business and showing horses and fooling with these horses? How long?
I was born in it. I cannot remember a day without a horse in it.
Right.
But as far as the showing part, I was probably in the 8th grade before my parents would allow me to show on my own because I was always, you can't tell it now, but I was always super tiny. And I always wanted to ride the bigger horses, so they would never trust me.
Right.
But I was probably in the 8th grade before I actually competed in a horse show, but I rode all my life.
Right.
Started out on a donkey.
Right.
Rode my donkey, outgrew my donkey, went to a pony, outgrew him, got a quarter horse, had a buckskin quarter horse.
Right.
And then we had this horse called Rowdy, and he's no relation to any of the Rowdy blood that's now. He was just, and we bought him when he was 4, and I was 4, and he passed at 37.
Golly.
And we had him the whole time.
Man alive.
And my dad always worked the day shift in the coal mines, and if we were to ride him ourselves. I mean, ride him ourselves. But we were small. We couldn't saddle, so we rode bareback the whole time.
Right.
There were 5 of us kids.
Right.
And he worked in shifts. Rowdy worked in shifts. Right. When we would go for lunch, Rowdy got tied up to the porch. And whoever got done eating lunch first would slip off with the horse.
Right.
That's when I acquired the donkey.
Right.
And my donkey got attached to the horse.
Right.
And if they went off without me, he would try to drag me off on the corner of a house or anything because he was going to go find the horse. So that was my early years. But now, as far as my first competitive speed horse, I was probably 17, 18. My dad had a horse called Meister Credit. And he showed him for years, won everywhere with him. We never did really come down here until later in the horse's life. But Daddy sort of just got bored with him and turned him out on the field. He had probably got about 12. We had bought him when he was 4. And he probably, if you're an animal lucky enough to come to my house as me, an owner, or our family, you die there. So Daddy turned him out on the field when he was about 12. And me and Dwight had first started dating. And we were going to horse shows. Well, I didn't have a horse, so I went and got the horse out of the field, and we pretty much picked up where Daddy left off. We just went in every Saturday night local show around, and I didn't know that Daddy had told Dwight, if you get an offer on him, sell him. Well, and the horse was no good in the mud, and we went to a horse show in Stanton, Kentucky, and it rained. And I mean, when I say no good, he wouldn't get out of a show walk. And it rained while we were at the horse show, so I went to scratch him out of the class. And when I got back, there was a circle formed. My horse was off the trailer, and there was a circle formed around him. And I asked him, I said, what are you doing? And he said, they wanted to look at your horse. And I thought they were wanting to, how pretty they wanted to pet my horse. And they threw out a price, and I just sort of looked at him, and I grabbed my horse, put him on the trailer. I said, I'm sorry, it's for sale. And on the way home, Dwight said, you know, your dad told me to price that horse. I said, he didn't tell me, and I'm not selling him. But that was my first competitive horse. And then later on, we bought a horse that was really, really fast, but wouldn't really set his head, didn't. But the first time I showed in Alabama was on that horse, the one that was really fast but wouldn't set his head. And I don't remember the name of the class. I'm sure it was probably Flat Shot Speed, because at that time we didn't have a speed class every night due to the Speed Association.
Right.
But we rode in that class, and there were 22 in it, and we had a workout, and I got 6th. And I thought, I still have that ribbon is hung up in my laundry room. I still have it. But I told Dwight, I told this story just today. It was so loud in there that you could feel them hollering through your body.
Right.
It was, I mean, you get chills.
That's crazy.
Thinking about it, you get chills. I love it. And from that point on, I guess my first paid customer horse was the Blue Bayou horse.
Right.
And they bought the Mr. Asa Wilson and Doc bought him. And they were in a transition of moving from Memphis to Mississippi. And when they were moving, I mean, they had a store to close down. So it took them years to get everything moved. So they just sent him home with me. He was basically mine. He didn't go home for like 4 years or 5. The only reason he went home was the year he got hurt in Alabama. And during that time, my sister Ramona, that's Shayna's mother, she meets Asa's son and Doc's son, and they get married. So Blue really brought,
helped you out.
I mean, we got lifelong friends, and then we acquired family through it. Sort of how we did Mr. Evolution. We got lifelong friends and family from it. So Blue was my first paid customer horse, and from there I've had, gosh, there's so many to name. I hate to name them all and miss
when you
somebody.
Think about world champions. I mean, what? Yeah, no. How many world champions do you think you just
world champions?
Yeah.
Well, until last night in the ladies' speed class, I'd won it like 12 or 13 times.
Right.
So that was the ladies' class. World Grands, I've won it with the Blue Bayou horse. Reserved many times on the Mr. Evolution. Won it with the Fleetwood Johnson's Cruise horse. Won it with the Steve Green and Jennifer's horse, Junior, they call him. I won the padded speed with Brad Johnson's Powder horse. And I know I'm leaving somebody out. Cruise won it twice. Blue won it once and then got hurt. Boy named Sue. And we basically gave him Chelsea Mead Acres.
Well, we got him in on trade. Remember,
on your gray horse.
We traded him in on the gray horse, and then and Chelsea didn't know. A while back, we was down here doing something. I said, you know how you got that horse? She said, no. I said, and I told her the story about it. We take him in on the trade, and
I didn't want him to get on the trade wagon.
That's exactly And
we had him out. Actually, we got donkeys in his lot now, but we just turned him out. I didn't want him to get on the trade wagon.
She had so much fun with him. She loves
him. She wishes she could clone him. So I think I've won it, as far as winning the World Grand Flat Shot, I think I've won it 5 or 6 times, but only one horse has won it multiple times.
Right.
And I've won the padded twice on the same horse.
Right. Yeah. Well, when you think about horses, okay, if we're talking about horses and being able to train and to ride and go to shows and things like that. And I know you worked until just recently. You worked on a secular job. You worked there.
Yeah.
And to explain to people why you done what you did, it was a little hard to do, isn't it? Why you spent the money you spent and the time you spent. People that are not horse people.
You're about to make me tear up. It's the love of it.
But you can't explain it.
No. When you see a horse, or you can talk about a horse that gives you chills or makes you choke up.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it.
Yeah. But a lot of people don't understand that. And there's different sports. I mean, I know people talk about a good race car like that, okay? But I mean, when you think about when you're in something like you're into.
To me, I don't see them as livestock.
Right.
I know every quirk. I know everything they like. I know everything they don't like. Mm-hmm. I know that horse inside and out. Right. I mean, he's my buddy. Right. That's as simple as I'm putting. I don't see him I see him as humans. Poor old fellow, he may not be as talented as he needs to be, but he's such a good boy. He's such a nice man. He would be so nice as a man.
Yeah, right.
So that's the way I put him. I don't see him as commodity that you trade around on or nothing. Right. And I know, and that's my business. I mean, people bring me horses that they go and buy and whatever, but now if you're there an extended amount of time, it hurts my heart when they leave.
Well, this is what I've said about you, okay? I've said if it's in that horse, Sue Dunn will get it out of it, Okay, it'll get it. And I'm telling you something, you can get it out of that horse if it's in there
I
now.
appreciate
And
that.
I believe
Some are a little bit more challenging, and you got to see something that you like that you want to build on. Like I just got out of the show ring on a mare that we've only had a couple months, but she stood 3 years. But she shows me things at times that I love, and she makes me want to put more time into her, more. And you've got to love it good. And whenever you quit anticipating and anxious to get on that horse, when that feeling leaves you, it's probably gone. And I hope it never leaves me.
Yeah, and I think that if it's in there, I've said it before. I said if it's in there, and you can, as good as a horse can be. I mean, and this is the thing too. People underestimate Dwight's ground.
Oh yeah,
his ground.
You got to see something.
Okay,
I was his ground man on the padded horse.
Right.
You've got to know what you're looking for. You've got to. Level means so many different things. It means they could be stepping level, or it means the gait can be level.
Right.
You're to be able to have your back turned to a horse and the hit step off, and you can tell that hit's timed.
Right.
You shouldn't even have to look at him. That the timing should be perfect.
Yeah.
Whether it's a padded horse or a speed horse, the timing, you have to be able to hear that. And as far as the riding aspect of it, until you feel, you got to be 2 steps ahead of your horse.
Right.
I mean, like if they let you be 2 steps ahead, like you get to know some of them so good that you know, all right, you can feel him starting to want to back off the bill or point more than normal. You need to do something to catch that before it happens, because it's going to be a head flick, or it's going to be this, or it's going to be a hit.
You got the gift to do that. Now, not everybody, and I really didn't have that to the point. Now, you know, Morgan does. Herman Hageman does on a pacing horse.
Yeah.
He knows he can take a horse. You can buy a horse. You could buy a horse off of him. He just brought in from the market with a sticker on his hip, and he could ride it up that road. And you think, man, and you take that sucker home and you say, where did the horse go that I bought?
I always say it sometimes, like when you get when a horse leaves you, the keys don't go. You try your best to describe the keys, but until you know what you're feeling, or you know what you're looking for, it's just hard to explain to you to do.
Because you feel that.
And reputation. Horses, to me, horses are creatures of habit. You find there's 50 ways to do one thing right, but you find the thing that works for you and the horse.
Yeah.
He's got to be comfortable. You've got to be comfortable, and you just build upon it day by day.
Right.
You don't. So I think the biggest misconception with the speed horse or any horse, they think it's made into, all right, I'm going to send it to a trainer for 2 months.
Yeah.
And you'll get a base, but that horse is not made.
Right.
He's never made. I train every day. I don't ride. I train every day.
Yeah.
And there's a difference between riding and training, and there's a difference between riding and sitting on one.
Right.
And but I work on something every day. You find the problem, you correct it, another problem will pop up. I mean, you correct every day.
You know, I think there's no exception for natural ability, though. Too, when you get a good horse, even a good speed horse, when you get a good horse and with some natural ability that can sit there, and when that sucker starts sitting his head, and you ain't got to tie it back, and you ain't got to do all this, and you hear him come up through there, and he's sitting there pecking it off. You know what I mean? And you think, man. There's you can take a horse that doesn't have a lot of natural ability and work on what he does have.
You can make him as good as he can let himself be. But not everybody's meant to be great. No. I'm not a college grad. Not everybody's meant to be. I mean, everybody has a place in life. You find that where you're comfortable. It's just like a horse. They have a place. Might not be the show ring. Might be being a pasture horse or a trail horse. That's as valuable to them as him going around the circle. To me, I mean, everybody's got to have their love for it. I mean, you can't, like having a kid, you can't force your love on them to want to get out here. And I forget there's other things in life than showing a horse. I mean, I mean, it's like Shayna, she takes Otis to a ball game or to play games, and I think, you know,
that's strange.
Yeah,
I mean, about it,
you just forget there's an outside world.
Yeah, you know, I think. When we talk about growing up, you know, like you're sharing with it, and I can remember, you know, we would go to the barn every evening. You know, we'd go to the barn, and then we would go up on the hill. There was an old beer joint up on the hill up there, and I used to go up and I'd get a carton of Pepsis and get crackers, and we call them nabs. We get nabs and bring them all down to the barn. We'd eat, you know, and ride horses and clean. It'd always be dark, and we'd get ready to go home. Yeah. And it's just, it was crazy.
Yeah, time I'm here, I promise you, the only time I leave is to go to bed.
Right.
There's no. And somebody told me a while ago, they said, I was wondering if you're here. I've not seen you. I said, that's what I hate about it being here. I love this location and everything, but they've condensed it to 5 days.
Right.
I can't get out and socialize. I'm working every day. So, but I don't show tonight, so I'll be the social butterfly.
Good. Well, again, all right, if we're talking about things, okay, if we're going to talk about advice, okay, if you had to give someone advice that really wants to get into showing horses, I mean, wants to be able to show.
Don't expect the instant gratification. You've got to work for it. I showed at the celebration, I bet you 5 or 6 years before I got a color of a ribbon that I recognized.
Right.
I mean, you just got, it's not a quick turnaround.
Right.
It's hard work shows. Mm-hmm. And that's my advice. Don't get discouraged because it doesn't happen early. Yeah. Just you got to work at it. It's like anything, it's worth the wait.
It's hard to set your expectations high, though, and not be disappointed.
I'm not saying you're going to be.
But I mean, it's hard.
Yeah.
You know.
But instead of getting mad and blaming other people for winning, work harder. Beat them.
Yeah.
Make them beat you.
Yeah.
I've always said I'm going to give out
I know what you're saying. I know what you're going to say.
Until you knock him out, there's a world champion boxer, Mike Tyson with Muhammad Ali. Did they get beat by points? No. And to beat them, you had to knock them out. Right. And you've got, and same thing with a horse. It's like back in the day, I chased Highway to Hell so many days. I mean, all I could see was, I knew what his tail looked like pretty good. But him and Hot Patch, I was back in I was reserved to them 2 horses for so long. Yeah. But instead of getting mad and hating them horses, I respected them horses.
Kept going.
I'm big enough to admit that there's a good horse out there. Yeah. Just because he beats me over and over and over, don't make me hate that horse. Man, that's a good horse. Yeah. And if you're open-minded enough and not, your vision doesn't get blurred by me, you can see the bigger picture. Hey, that horse that beat me is a pretty nice horse. Right. Maybe I wasn't where I needed to be.
Yeah. All right. Let's discuss something that's a little off topic, let's talk about money and talk about finances. Now listen, you worked on a job for years, okay? You and Dwight have a nice place to live. I've never seen you standing with your hand out hungry. I mean, you've been out there. So there's some things in your mind when you talk about being able to be financially stable in your life, not just in your marriage, but in your life. There's things that you do. When we talk about advice that you could give people to be financially stable in their life.
Again,
I'm not talking about being rich. I'm just being stable.
Oh, the working man's never going to be rich. Right. We can be comfortable, but these cold, rainy days, oh my, this bed feels so good. I don't think I'm going to get out today. Right. Those days do not make you money, and those days don't get you ahead in life. You get out of that bed and you go to work. Mm-hmm. That's my. I mean, you just work. Even with the horses, everything revolves around work. Yeah. I don't care if it's your life, your job, at work, at my retirement job. I had customers that wanted to see me because I knew I'd get the job done for them. Yeah. I would go the extra step. Yeah. So my daddy, I can't talk about daddy at that time.
All right, I understand.
But hard work.
That's exactly, And I think half the battle is, people work for me. I always tell them half the battle is just show up. First thing is show up.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that these cold, rainy, snowy days. I would love to stay in the house.
Yeah.
But you know what? The electric's going to get cut off. It's not going to be as warm as it was, but that electric's off. So you get out and hustle and make that payment. Right. But I was privileged. I hate to think that I was ever entitled, but now with the property that my house and barn sits on, my dad gave to me. Right. And that's a huge dad and mom. Without mom and dad, I would be.
Good. But they didn't. But it wasn't a handout. It was help up. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean. And I never, with my children, I never minded. There's 2 things I always told them. I said, first thing is, I don't mind helping you as long as you're not a smart aleck or a hind end. Now, if you're a hind end to me, I'm going to still love you, but I'm going to keep my money in my pocket.
If I was sitting here right now and I was being smart to somebody, or my dad could give me a look, and I'd shut up. I'd shut up. I knew I'd never step my bounds. Respect.
Yeah, I think when you think about that in our life, one of the things that we're born with it, and I believe that that your blood is so important. It's like in a horse, man. That's why we got horse papers and things like that. We look at the heritage. When you think back in your family,
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, what was
Yeah.
put in you, and
Yeah.
it's not just things
And
they
you
told
gotta
you.
have
it's
enough
in you.
respect about you that you. I wanted to work hard because it was a reflection on Daddy.
Exactly.
You can't believe people come in the office. Oh, I knew your dad. He was such a hard worker.
Right.
I took pride in it.
See, ain't that great? I mean, I think about, when my dad passed away, been 2 years ago, and people, I know he's missed all over the town that we were in. Every day he would get up and go to town, and I think about it, and that's important heritage. I mean, something
you don't want to do nothing to embarrass them.
That's exactly.
No.
That's exactly, and I think sometimes that's. And it's not just the generation, but there's some things missing in some people, and it's always been that way. But there's some things that are missing as far as really doing that thing and embarrassing. I don't know. Well, all right. We're talking about changes. Let's talk about changes over the years. What are some things that changed as far as horse shows that stand out in your mind? And when we talk about overall in horse shows, what are some things you've seen that have changed?
Other than crowd participation, the horses are still good. I mean, they might not be 5 in the class, but there's 5 good ones usually.
Right.
But as far as change, I really haven't noticed a whole lot as far as it affected me. As far as the horses have changed, their way of going has changed. We've got faster.
Right.
These horses now are flying.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Yeah.
But as far and we want a nice set up horse. But as far as a change in the breed, I really haven't seen it a lot. I mean, nothing to affect me negative. There's probably been some positive changes.
I think we're breeding some good horses.
We are. That's what I'm saying. Horses are great right now. My goodness, you can watch a class and you say, "Gosh, there'd be 5 or 6." You wouldn't care to have either one of them.
A thin line.
Yeah.
Between who won.
Yeah.
It really was. Well, all right. We dealt in some really sensitive areas. Okay, but. Let's talk about marriage just for a minute here. Okay,
there is a place in heaven for me, baby.
Here's the thing I'm saying. Okay, now Jason has spread some rumors, and I talked to him the other day, and Dwight spread rumors.
Jason says he loves me, but I don't know.
This is the thing, though. Jason says that Dwight thinks he's the eye candy. But you are, okay?
I've ate too much of that candy. My eye candy has expanded because I have been eating the candy.
We can take care of that. But I mean, when you talk, you and Dwight seem to have a great relationship. Okay?
If we argue, it is over a horse.
Yeah, I know.
It is never ever.
Yeah, I've seen
it is never ever a life-changing moment in your life because we're on the same page, and we're usually on the same page with horses. But if there's any voices raised, a horse is involved.
I've seen that before. I've seen him.
But that's just wanting to be better.
Dwight's very emotional.
Oh, Dwight's more emotional than me.
I watch him.
Dwight's a lot more emotional.
I watched him when you would show Evolution. Sometimes he wouldn't even come up to the ring.
No,
he said, "No, I can't take it. I just can't take it."
He gets so nervous. He gets so nervous. He does. And that is what he is. My biggest. He lives and. If I don't do well, he's disappointed. If I do great, he's happy.
I watch him.
I have got a really good support group. They are fans. They are my fans.
Yeah.
My sisters, my nieces, Jason, Dwight. I mean, I have got some really good fans.
Well, so we dealt with marriage just a little bit. You didn't give me a lot of good advice there of things to do, but anyway.
Well, I have a happy marriage. I don't have any experiences.
What I want to know is how you keep it happy.
I don't know. I don't know.
I
guess it must do. It must do. I try to cook good for him. He likes to eat well.
Now let's talk about that then. Okay. See, I believe cooking is a sign of affection.
I agree.
And I stress that with a lot of people too. I said, now going through McDonald's and ordering a number 2 is not a sign of affection.
Well, Dwight thinks that's a treat for me because seriously, like if we're out working late at the barn or something, instead of me having to go home to cook, he said, "Where you want to go tonight?"
Right. Yeah. And that's
I mean I would work until 4 o'clock at the job at my office, and then as soon as I could walk through the door, I'd change clothes, go out to the barn, stay about 8 o'clock, ride my crew, leave the White to put that crew up, takes an hour and so the crew out. He was getting in about 9 o'clock, so what time I was cooking, the time he was over to the barn. So now it's a treat to me for him to say,
And I say that, and we eat out sometimes, but I cooking, man, I've said this before, and a lot of women don't grab that, okay, or men, but I mean, because a lot of men, there's more men cooking than what you think there are. But I mean, I'm gonna have to support those cooking men. But what I'm saying is, a lot of women miss that. I really believe there's something that makes a man feel good when he comes home and there's a meal
waiting on him, a hot meal, a good quality meal.
If you made a meal, a hot meal for him, it really, and you can't fight that. I'm just saying it's real. When he comes home and there is a meal waiting on him. And, you know, Janice used to, you know, when I worked late sometimes, I mean, she'd fix breakfast for me at 12 o'clock in the morning.
My dad always worked the day shift at the coal mine, so he was getting up at 4:30. Mm-hmm. My mom always had him pork chop, biscuit and gravy, and fried apples waiting on him every morning. Yeah. When he'd get off to work, it's time for us to go to school. You know what we had? Right. We had a full breakfast, another one, because she would cook another one, but we'd have a full breakfast waiting on us. I can remember when we were in grade school and free lunches and breakfast first came out, nobody would, our principal would come to the playground before his classes would take up as in grade school and try to shoo everybody into the cafeteria to eat. Right. And that nobody would come because they say, Mommy cooked this morning, Mommy cooked this morning. Now it's full. I bet you don't hear Mommy cooked this morning, Mommy. No. Which that attributes a lot to it. There's a lot of working women now too. Right. So that attributes to that.
I mean, it's just I see it all the time. All right, so we've dealt with that. We've dealt with marriage, we've dealt with money, we've dealt with advice, we've dealt with horses. But there's one topic we haven't covered. Now, growing up with Mona. Okay, I mean, I'm not.
I was always the low man on the totem pole.
Okay, all right. So growing up with a sister, growing up with Mona, I mean, what were the challenges?
You know, we're still as close as we were then. There were really no challenges there. We was always super close family.
A few fights every night.
Oh gosh, she got married with a black eye.
See, I was thinking, it seems like I remember some things, okay? And I would rather you tell them because I like to make sure I get them right.
You have been too close to the family. You're entrenched.
I knew there were some things. I didn't.
You are entrenched.
So I wasn't responsible.
Well, I was always a peep squeak, always so little, and she could. I mean, you ever seen a dog just sort of hold another dog back? Yeah. Well, that's how she would just have to hold me back. I couldn't do nothing about it. Get me on the bed and just hold me down. I couldn't do anything about it. Her black eye was a sucker bunch. I was so mad at her that day, and I couldn't do nothing about it. And I heard her around the neck corner. Yeah. And I was waiting on her.
Well, that makes sense. I can understand. But didn't she know karate? Did she have some? It seems like at one time you told me something about. We don't have to go into all of it.
I don't know if I remember this story.
I remember one time you telling me, "Oh no." Or muscles or something. She should. No, I don't want. Let's don't tell.
No, we don't need this story. No,
I remember that. And somehow that stands
out. How did I tell you that story?
I can forget where my car is parked, but I remember that story.
Oh my gosh, no, that's not age. That's an age appropriate story. We're not getting there. I thought you was going to ask me about the first time I ate in a fast food restaurant. I figured that would be the first question.
No, the other part stands out more. But anyway, okay. But so it's. I know you two are close, and she seems like she's got such a humble spirit about her.
She does.
Really do when I
she never tells what she does, right? Like for other people,
right?
But they're in her county, right? Instead of getting a name off of the tree or whatever, she goes and fight to the power company and says, "Tell me who's getting ready to get disconnected." Right. Yeah. So they never know who pays it.
Yeah. She got such a spirit. I mean, just seeing her around, and when I was
she says I've got a good heart, but I'm a little mean.
Well, I think that goes together.
I think it covers her and me.
Yeah.
But these people never know who paid their electric bill, and it could be like, a disconnection notice, 2 months usually. So it's probably a pretty good amount. Right. She never says what it is, but some lucky soul. Yeah. Got Christmas.
One thing I don't like, I use my mobile app a lot. I mean, I'm real app oriented when I go through McDonald's, but used to be, there's people, you would pay for somebody's meal behind you. Yeah. But now they use that Dad Burn app, nobody gets to pay for my meal. That makes me a little upset. I feel like I'm missing out on
that. My neighbor got in front of me at McDonald's, and I was having a bad day, bad morning. It was a morning. And I got up, and it was paid for.
Right. That little thing.
That
little thing makes you feel you're thinking it really, and I would love to pay for somebody's behind me. I'd love to. I love to do that, but I mean, I don't know. I think it's good. We can take our time.
Humanity. We've lost humanity.
Yeah, well, now, all right. So we've covered a world of topics, but let's talk about this. If you could say, I would love to see this change about horse shows, speed classes, racking horse celebration. There's something here that there's a few things I would really like to see different.
You talking about the horse itself or the people?
The people, the show.
I wish that there wasn't so much hate involved in it. I mean, we're all lifelong friends because we're all in horses together. Right. And of course, we want to beat everybody. It's why we're in it. But when you get out of the ring, you shouldn't
hold it.
You shouldn't backstab.
Right. So that's the thing when we talk about it, sort of letting the things go. And you know, the whole thing about it is if we could ever, and I've shared this with my board and I've shared it with other people in the Speed Association. I said, in the end, it's all about having a little fun with your horse. And that's why you spend your money. That's why you do stuff to have a little fun. You'll go in there.
You'll get caught in the trap. Everybody wants to win. Everybody wants to win. But you know what? Not everybody is out to get you either.
Right.
I mean, if you keep getting beat, it's not anything going. Nobody likes you well enough to give you first every time, and nobody hates you enough to tie you off every time. Absolutely. There's a give and take.
Sometimes it's just your horse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And we get barn blind. We get barn blind.
Lord, that's famous.
I'm probably my own worst critic. You know, somebody say, "Oh, you made such a good show." I'll look at the video. I see 100 things I don't like. I see 100 things I don't like. So you just got to be able, just because you own it, don't mean it's great.
Well, you know, you ever think about this? So many people do this. I never was that good at it, but you can be on a horse riding it, showing in there with a group of 10 horses. The class lasts 7 minutes is what a normal class lasts. But you can be on the horse. That judge is judging the horse, judging them all, and you think that I should have got 4th, or I should have got 5th, or I should have got 2nd, or I should have won. You think you know more than that guy that's sitting there watching all of them, and you're sitting on the back of the horse.
Right.
I mean, and that's just their nature.
It's their nature. We all want. It's a me world. I'm not. I mean, everybody wants to win. That's why we do this. We're competitive. We want to win, but don't let that cloud your judgment to the person who's winning.
Right. I think it's. And I tell you what I've seen. I've seen a lot of young people coming on. We're getting more. We are a growing breed. We are a growing breed. It really is. Well, I'll tell you something. We have took time today. And I know Sue's extremely busy, got her horses here, and I'm sure Dwight is sitting in the chair back there waiting.
He is probably, where is Sue? Because I didn't tell anybody where I was going.
Yeah, we just tell her we kidnapped you. But anyway, I really appreciate it, and I've shared with you. We love Dwight and Sue. They've been in my house. They've stayed with us. We went to Brooks Garden together. Yeah. We've done stuff. We've been right there together.
We are friends. And, you don't have to have a horse to be my. You do not have to have a horse in my barn to be my friend. Right. I mean,
I just we've enjoyed you. We love you, and again, it does go back. I mean, I love what you've done with my horse. With Evolution, I really do.
You had really good horses.
He's just as good, and all the other horses. I mean, I can't remember. I mean, I was thinking about Confederate Gray last night. I was thinking about him and Gray John. I think about Gray John. I think about when I bought Gray John, I'd never been on his back.
Right.
And when I bought him off Mr. Hubbard, and I bought him, and I never run him. I said, well, you know, I liked him, and he said he was good. Same thing, Confederate Gray. I don't think I ever rode him until we showed him.
I don't think anybody rode Confederate Gray like you.
I loved that little sucker. Man, he was just like a little
crotch rocket.
He just like he would just.
I don't think I ever seen anybody make shows on him like you would make.
The hardest show I had was shown in Kentucky, showing Gray John. And I had a death grip on his mouth. Okay,
there's workout.
And you finally told me, you said, and he was getting faster and faster, and you said, turn his head loose. And I thought,
easy for her to say she's not on him.
I don't want to let off on the brakes. I'm going downhill, you know. But I did.
And you trusted me.
He just fell back. You know, this is easy. Oh well, that was simple enough. I said, but
that might be one advice for speed horses. People don't realize. Like you'll see with speed class, and you see when they say fast rack, you'll see people with the reins flopping. Yeah. To me, a horse will get faster when you grip him back.
Get him back just a little bit.
Yeah, you stay in that mouth. He stays engaged. He'll get faster. Yes. Them reins flopping. It's just like on that padded horse. Right. When you let those reins flop, he eased off. The more you was pulling, the more he wanted to go. Right. But they chill. They relax. Yeah. And that's another thing. When I get a horse legged up, if they will allow me, I just get out there and let them chill, let them relax, leg them up, just let them gait, let them find that true gait. Because because if you're in the mouth every day, they're just gonna get tougher mouthed every day. I don't like to pull nothing every day.
No,
just get him happy. Let him happy. I like them.
And some horses come natural. Like I said, we get back to natural horses.
Yeah,
there's some horses out there that spoil you that are natural.
Oh yeah,
and they'll run around.
The worst thing that can ever happen to you is to find you once in a lifetime horse, the first horse. Because everything you're trying to prove, well, I don't like this horse. He don't do this like this horse did. Well, I'm sorry. There is no two alike. Exactly. He's not going to do what your perfect horse did.
No.
You ride me long enough, you learn my quirks. You'll learn. I'll become your perfect horse. Like if I've got the qualities, you know. But there is never two that's going to be the same. And in my life, I have probably like last night, we was out here warming up, and I think in the warm up area, I had every horse except maybe two.
Right.
You're going to come across many horses, and I've not yet seen the perfect horse. I've seen horses I really like, but every horse is going to have a quirk somewhere. But that don't mean he's a bad horse. It means you work around that quirk. It means you find how to make him happy with that quirk.
Yeah.
So, and when I say quirk, I don't mean his mind. It could be in his gait. It could be anything. But there's never the perfect horse. Don't go buy a horse and think he's the perfect horse.
The worst thing I did, I bought a horse one night on Bradshaw Mountain at a horse show. This sucker was a bad cat. I mean, a bad cat. All right. And I told the boy, I said, how much you want for that horse? Come by, and I forget what his name was. He's a horse trader anyway. So he stopped and told me, and I said, tie it to that trailer. He tied it up. He was riding bareback. Well, I got home and put a saddle on. It was a whole different ball game. That sucker. First thing when I would go to get on, she was spinning around and round and round and round. I throwed her completely down one night at White Pine. Me and her both were dirty as hogs. Time we got in the ring, throwed her down, and then she wouldn't reverse until a horse come by her. So I would be sitting in the ring,
waiting on somebody.
The judge would be, the announcer would be saying, you can reverse. And I said, as soon as a horse comes, because she wouldn't reverse.
I will reverse as soon as I'm able.
I said, I'll never buy another bareback horse at a horse show.
Or if you're, also don't buy one, the old man's riding with a halter or a silk race rope.
Ain't that beautiful?
There's a reason there's a silk race rope there.
We traded for a horse one time. It come in at the barn down there, and shouldn't really know the things were going on, but they were riding the horse behind the truck with a set of racks on it. They didn't even have it in the trailer, okay? And this was a walking horse, registered back out of Midnight Sun. This was a long time ago, okay?
Good blood.
Big bay horse, about over 16 hands tall. They come in there with it, riding it behind the trailer. Skinny as a rail, okay? Big old bunch. We said, ain't this something? So my dad worked up a trade anyway. I don't know what he traded. Anyway, he traded for it. And so we put we bedded its stall that night. We had to build a stall for it in the hallway because we didn't have one. And come back the next day and it'd eat all its bed and eat through the boards and was standing out in the field. And so anyway.
She was hungry.
So
she's thin.
We got to riding that thing, and it would rear up. The fatter it got, the meaner it got. It would rear up and click its front feet together. And we were showing one night in Tazewell, and John Campbell was showing it, and it reared up and put its front legs over the rail. And then he jerked his head back and it reared back up and went back on. But so we finally got to where we starved it down to where it got broke again. but it was just, we called it Bones. We called it Old Bones. But I mean, that thing was so crazy. But you get horses in your life that
you'll remember really, the rest of your life.
Really do you remember?
They make an impact. I wish. That's the thing I told Dwight. I said I wished, but when we opened up our barn, that I had written down every horse's name, because I'd hate to think how many horses that's came through and through there. How many we've been associated with. Yeah.
All right. I know we covered a lot of topics. So let's cover one more and then we'll be done. I'll let you go. Okay. Cats at the barn. All right. I know, and there's been some rumors going around and things like that, and I don't want to share stuff because I don't get in people's business unless it's advantageous to me or builds my reputation. But I mean, do you have any cats at the barn? I mean, do you collect any cats, or have you ever done that? Or
it is world renowned or county renowned that if you've got a stray, I could walk out of my door, and like this happened this week. There was this little wet rat-looking kitten in my yard, and I thought, out of my 30 that I have, I thought, that's not my cat. She has now became my cat.
I would imagine.
Yeah, I've the humane. I had to help with the spay and neuter clinic, and they work on stuff that, you know, out of the shelter, and they'll call me and they say, hey, we've got this feral cat. He's next week we're going to have to put him down. He's got nowhere to go. And I'll go get him. Yeah. I figure, you know, I'll keep you about a week or two there. I'll keep you about 4 days locked up in a cage there at the barn.
Right.
And if you stay, you stay. You've got free reign. I mean, I live in the head of the holler. You've got multiple acres to travel on.
Right.
If you survive, you survive. If not, it's a better life and a better death than what you're going to have, is my view on it.
Right.
But I went down once. I was going to get one cat from the shelter. They come spayed and neutered, thank God. But I come back with 9. But right now my count is 30, and I keep a 30-pound bag of cat food in every vehicle I have.
Right.
You can go now. The truck that I drove down here to bring the horses, it's got a 30-pound bag of cat food in it. But it's for strays on the side of the road. And there's these 2 dogs on my holler that I've been worried about them because I'm going to be gone 5 days.
Right.
They're going to go 5 days without eating. Hopefully one of my neighbors will feel sorry for them, but they know my vehicle and they chase my vehicle.
Right.
But Dwight's truck and my truck both just got 30 pounds of food in it, and they know us, and wherever they run us down at, we stop and give them a bowl of food, and they've ate that day. If we're out 5 times that day, they usually eat 5 times. But we might go 2 or 3 days and not get off the holler, so the poor little things are hungry. But if I always make a point not to let them go too long. Hopefully the owners fed them somewhere between there, but I'm not going to swear.
I just want to clear up the rumors about it.
No, it's not a rumor. It's a fact. I probably spend. I go to every. I'm now a check drawer for a return, and every payday once a month, I go to Rural King. I buy 8 30-pound bags of cat food, and I buy 30 cans of canned food to do me a month. And I take my canned food and I mix it with my dry food, and everybody gets them a little pile. And I still got the dogs that Mom and Dad had. And when Dad passed, they just sort of moved down because they hung out at the barn anyway. Daddy was at the barn 24/7. So they just thought that was their home. So they have came. They are now my dogs. They're too fat. They're about 14-year-old, but they're too fat to live. So I did say hopefully while I'm gone they lose weight.
Well, it's good. Well, I'll tell you, in closing, I'll tell you, as I shared with you, Sue, we've loved her and Dwight for a long time, and the
feeling is mutual.
And we've enjoyed the relationship, and it's part of the reason why we do what we do, is the people. And
I didn't expect this to be emotional. You've got me ready to cry every minute. I love you all.
I have that effect on people.
Evidently you do.
Janice cries a lot of times when she sees
but
me
it's probably, I was going to say, but it's probably a different reason than I'm crying.
I told her that it's better or worse. A while back, Janice went through some different sickness, and this summer I told her she's really stifled a lot of things I wanted to do because she's had the meningitis and several things going on.
She's held you back.
And I told her, I said, we went through this sickness thing long enough. I mean, I need that
Come
health
on,
part.
That's right. We have things
better.
to do.
Yeah. Well, okay, we appreciate you. Thank you for watching.
Thank you all. I've enjoyed this. I was really dreading it. I'm going to tell you. I
think you're a natural.
Oh, do you? I cannot wait till I can't wait to hear my hillbilly slang on this, because when I used to go to Alabama, when we go to Alabama to show, they'd bring people out of, if I went to a fast food restaurant, they'd bring people out of the kitchen. Hey, listen to her talk.
All right, you have been watching Just from the Shed, the road edition. We appreciate you watching, and thank you. Appreciate it.